What's going on, guys? Welcome to Club News 6. That one's always a banger that's thrown in there in the musical loop. Hope everybody's having a great Thursday night. I'm Meteorologist Jonathan Kegges. We are coming at you live from the Digital Weather Center here at News 6 on clickorlando.com, News 6 Plus, and of course on the News 6 YouTube page. Do me a favor, post in the comments where you're tuning in from tonight. And I'd also love to get your take on what's going on in the tropics. Of course, we're going to have a full breakdown on Invest 91L. Again, that's that fancy designation. It's more of like an internal designation that the Hurricane Center gives. That's why it's that weird name, because it's an area of investigation, and that's whenever the Hurricane Center runs the hurricane specialized models so that we get a better idea of where this thing could be going. We're also going to touch on the Florida forecast. Of course, I think the Central Florida forecast was pretty spot on today with just a few stray showers. The heaviest rain as expected, focused on South Florida, and we'll continue to focus on South Florida. So we're also going to take a look at that for our friends that are tuning in across the great state of Florida. Boy, guys, it's happening. The hype is disgusting, and it's out of control. Look, Invest 91L, that tropical wave way out there in the Atlantic, it's certainly worth watching. Okay, I'm not taking my eye off of it until it dissipates and gets the heck on out of here. But the amount of fear-mongering, fear tactics are just out of control with posting the models. We're going to go over some of them, and I'm going to show you the change from when those people posted them to what it's doing now. I will be honest, I don't know where this storm is going. It is 13 days away if it's going to threaten the United States. It's about 7 to 8 days away from threatening the Caribbean. That's how slow this thing is moving. We're going to break all that down throughout the course of this video, and I hope you leave with a better sense of, oh my goodness, we do not need to panic. I promise you, believe me, I'm watching this closely. I'm watching what people are posting closely because I want to make sure that you are getting the best information possible. And again, no decision making can be made at this time because look at where this storm is. It's way out here, and it's this puny little guy right there at the nub of that red oval that is drawn there. So just keep some things in mind. You're likely going to hear me repeat some of the things over again as we have more people tuning in, but this is nothing to freak out about at this current time. And I will show you why, because there are so many of the better solutions that the other people aren't showing you. Because you know what sells? The fear sells. And I promise you, I made a promise to you guys before the season started on June 1st that you're never going to get that here from News 6. And we're going to break it down with science and meteorology. I hate that I have to talk about this in depth 13 days away from any kind of potential U.S. impact. Anyway, I'll stop rambling now, and we're going to get into the science portion of this. So here is the development zone area in that red oval there, likely developing as it gets towards the back end of the 7 days. Should be slow to develop. That has everything to do, again, with where this is going, and that's why you've seen that bubble come down. A weaker, slower developing storm will stay to the south and west. The low-level winds are going to guide it in that direction. If it does get strong fast, it will have the tendency to follow the upper-level winds, which are going to be pulling it a little more to the north a little bit. Here are the latest computer models. And again, this is what we get for getting this to be an invest. We get these fancy computer models that the Hurricane Center has run. What you have there, those are the climatology models, the ones that follow Climo. That's where the ones that are curving out. These are the main ones right down in here. And again, there is a big grouping toward the eastern or northeastern Caribbean as we get out to the 6th or 7th of September. So still along with really more than that, the 8th or 9th. I've lost my train of thought. By the time we get into the 13th, and let me back this up just a little bit. We'll do that in real time. There's the 8th. So, I mean, you're talking about something towards the 9th, 10th, and 11th that this is around potentially impacting the Caribbean. Okay? A lot of time to watch. I wish I had better information, but I don't. At least more in-depth information of where it's going because the storm hasn't developed yet. It hasn't. And with a slow moving storm, these are harder to predict and harder to rely on models because the steering current is further out into the future. And for that, I want to show you this. All the things that we're going to be potentially watching for over the next couple of days and week or so. So Kimberly brings up a great point. She said it doesn't look like it's doing much in the MDR. She's spot on. Spot on. I'll show you the satellite when we come back from the other commercial break a little more in depth because I want to point out why it's not doing much. But it's staying weak here. So this is September 7th. Let's take this bad boy out into the future now. And you see it kind of rolling right along, rolling right along. There it is in the Northeast Caribbean on September 13th. Now, that is 9 days away. The piece is right here. Got it. Can you tell I had it? I needed to come juiced for this because I got people on my list tonight. So I'm a little wild this evening. Because I don't like, see, Elizabeth has me going now. I don't like when people get misled for clicks. It's my biggest pet peeve. Keeps me up at night. Anyway, here's the steering current. September 13th. Couple of things. This is the GFS rendition. If this looks like it's trying to build another area of high pressure. If this high pressure builds, then it's not going to be able to go out to sea. This is one of the reasons why I'm concerned with the slow moving nature, because if they move slow, something else can come into play and then dictate where it goes. So there's that area of high pressure. And you see, this is the earlier run of the GFS. You see it takes through the Turks and Caicos and then into South Florida. Look at the date, September 16th and 17th. Okay. I don't know if that area of high pressure is going to build there. I don't know if that dip in the jet stream is going to be there because those pieces right now are literally non-existent or halfway around the world, and they need to come together. And it doesn't not just one big thing. It's like some of this comes together almost like the Power Rangers or Voltron or something like that. And they're pieced together, these steering things. So there's just no way of knowing. It's just like the butterfly effect. When you throw a pond in the water, you get the ripples, and the further those ripples are out, the further the stone gets away, the further the ripples are out. The error in a model gets expanded. So if something is being sampled wrong or projected wrong in the short term, the error is going to expand in the long term. These models are going to go nuts. And for that, we are going to head to the other weather computer. And I want to show you what the other people aren't showing you. And I'm very disappointed in that. I'm very disappointed in that. So this is the 12Z run, the early morning run from the GFS this morning, and it has a hurricane in the Florida Straits on September 17th. Okay. Do you want to see what the model looks like now? Anybody? I told you, I had my coffee. I'm a little wild this evening. There it is. This is what's going to happen for the next week. It's going to bounce and bounce all over the place. So please don't get caught up in rogue model runs. I don't want to say rogue because, again, there's something out there. There's certainly something to watch. It's just a factor of where. Okay, there was a meteorologist, and that's what makes me more upset, drawing what the global models showed. Like these. These are the global models. It's just inappropriate because it just doesn't tell the whole story. Now, this is what they're not showing you. That's the European ensembles right there. It paints a much better picture for the southeast corner of the United States. Still have to watch these guys on the lower end because they do look like they're trying to curve. It only goes out 10 days. But holy cow. A lot of them want to curve it. That's the European ensemble. Here's what they're really not showing you. The Google AI, it kills it in the Eastern Caribbean. Kills it. Dead. Gone. GFS a little bit further to the west. I showed you the reason why, because it's trying to build that area of high pressure in. in between Bermuda and the United States. That would be problematic. But again, I don't know if that area of high pressure is going to be there. And I'll tell you, it took it away. There it is. I mean, this goes, and then it has something else funky coming in. It does the little Fujiwara, does a little dance out there. Okay. All of this to say, oh, yeah, here's the Euro, by the way. Want to see the Euro? There it is. Bottom of your screen, bottom of your screen, bottom of your screen. Boop, ba-doop, ba-doop, ba-doop. Where is it going? Where is it at? Where is it at? Gone. There are a number of scenarios. You are only being served the worst case ones on social media. You're never going to get that from News 6. We're going to break it down with sound science and meteorology and none of the scare tactics. Alrighty, guys, I have to hit my first break. When we come back, if you have any questions on that, certainly I'm going to answer those. And we're going to get into the Florida forecast portion of the show, where we're going to dive really deep into the super heavy rainfall coming to South Florida. Stick around. Boy, that was an abrupt transition from that dance music to now I want to go to sleep. I'm relaxed now. Needed that. Alrighty, guys, we are back. Welcome back to News 6 Weather Live. I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kegges, live on News 6 Plus and on News 6, the News 6 YouTube page. Of course, we just talked a lot about Invest 91L. We're watching it. It's something to keep your eye on, but this is not an imminent threat, and there are a lot of scenarios and a lot of solutions still in play. I'll spare you from rant number 2. Here we go with the situation in Florida, though. We have this stationary front. We had a lot of rain in South Florida today. Do you have anybody tuning in from South Florida? Post in the comments where you're tuning in from, and you're not seeing that because I forgot to hit my button. There's my button, and there is the setup. There is the deal there, that stationary front. Again, the heavy rain now pushing through the Bahamas. By the way, we're taking a live look in Duck Key tonight and in Yeehaw Junction, courtesy of our friends at WeatherStem using their live extensive camera network. So thank you so much for that. And again, by the way, if you are tuning in from anywhere across the state of Florida and you're watching on YouTube or on News 6 Plus, post in the comment section for me where you're tuning in from. Before we go forward, by the way, we're also thinking about adding times with these streaming weathercasts on News 6 Plus and on the News 6 YouTube page. What times work best for you? I know we had a lot of votes yesterday for around 10 o'clock in the morning. That seems to be one of the sweet spots, kind of out of the hustle and bustle of the morning, getting ready to go to work. So let me know if there are new people on and you haven't voted. Post that in the comments what time you would like to get something like this, weather information, during your day. Of course, we're keeping it right here at 9:30. So that is the setup for tomorrow. Now, let me take you into the future. There's 9 to 10 o'clock tonight, couple of downpours on the Gulf Coast. The heaviest rain again going to focus on South Florida. You see, especially the extreme southern tip through the Keys. Look at all that heavy rain back to the Bahamas. If anybody's going on a cruise, a little bumpy from the Bahamas back to the Keys and then into the Gulf. And that is going to continue for the next couple of days. Some of that rain could be heavy at times. We're going to be watching for the potential for some flooding if we get them over the repeated areas. And again, we should unfortunately see that. Now, we could use some rain in these spots. That is a look at how much rain we could pick up on estimated time. Didn't want to go to the tropical countdown. I want to count down out of hurricane season. In the red, there's greater than 5 inches. So you're really looking from Port St. Lucie back to Lake Okeechobee toward the Everglades and the Keys. That is where we are looking for the heaviest rain. And then you notice Gainesville, Jacksonville, the Panhandle of Florida, not a ton of rain over the next 7 days. So we're going to be on the drier side there. All that as well. I will check that out, Travel Center. Hope you're doing well, my friend. I missed that on the Twitter. Been rocking and rolling all day today. But that's the heavy rainfall scenario. I want to show you too the drought monitor. I promised this on Monday when we were forecasting all of this, that I would pull that up for you. And I'm just pulling over the state view. I have my local view up, but I wanted to show you the state view. This is where we could use the rain. In between Miami and West Palm, we still have an extreme drought. And that's pretty rare to have a drought like that last through the quote-unquote wet season. So we do want to get some rain now because it does look like, again, we're going to talk at length whenever I finish putting together my thoughts on the Florida winter, quote-unquote. We don't want to get back into a situation where we're really dry for the next few months, which is a typical thing for a La Nina. That would be problematic to expand the drought through the winter. So we don't want that for sure. Alrighty, guys, I have to hit another break. The jams are coming back. Do me a favor. If you have any questions on what we talked about or something else, there's a hurricane in the Pacific. If you want to take a look at that, we can talk more about Invest 91L and that future if you joined late and missed some of the stuff. Post in the comments. You guys are the drivers, steerers of the ship here for the next few minutes after we return from this short break. Again, post in the comments and I'll pull up any graphics that I have on me. See you soon. Alrighty, guys, welcome back. We have about 5 minutes for the question, comments, and answer. This is the part where you take over the show. So, again, if you have any questions about the tropics, about anything, about why is the sky blue, anything, post them in the comments for me and we will get to it. We had a great question before about it didn't look like it was developing a lot in the main development region. Well, here we go. Put this together. And here is our storm again. It's a little bite-sized thing, okay? It's right there. It's also still surrounded by some dry and dusty air, okay? So it's still certainly not even all the way there yet. Let me take this further out, and this kind of tells the story. So what this is involved in, it's called the Intertropical Convergence Zone. And you see where the lines are coming together here. So there's a lot of swirly lines on your screen, but there's a method to my madness. So you see where this kind of football looking thing, football back tonight, holy cow. But that football looking thing right there, that is our invest. That is our disturbance, right? In order for it to be a tropical depression, it needs to tighten that up. It needs to not be elongated. The reason why it's elongated because it's still embedded in the intertropical convergence zone. And it's this big thing that goes across the globe. You see that happening all over the place where those lines from the north and the lines from the south are moving up and moving down, are going to force up thunderstorms. So right now, 91L is embedded in that. In order for it to start strengthening and organizing, it needs to detach from that. It needs to be its own entity right now. And that's the deal. So that is why it is struggling. Where I'm with you, Kimberly, where she says the Saharan dust layer, it's good. The only thing is that if it stays weak, I have the surface winds right here. I have the surface winds. These are what they are. The flow of the surface would be to continue to send this pretty much due west right into the Caribbean. That's going to be the thing that we need to watch because if it gets further west, it has the better opportunity to impact land a little bit. So that's why it's a double edge or a catch 22. It could also stay weak the whole time. And that's the other part of the equation that the spaghetti models don't tell you, or people that draw their own global models on TV don't tell you. There's a danger in that, and it just incites fear. Okay? Just keep that in mind. But that's what I have to say about that. How will hurricanes impact Palm Beach County the rest of the season? No, I mean, look, here when it comes to Florida in particular, yes, I'm watching this wave, but really it's the Gulf and the Western Caribbean once we get into late September and to the first couple of weeks of October. That has what has seemed to have bitten us the last few years. Well, it is what's bitten us over the past few years. And we're in the same kind of deal again where we're going to have to be watching for that. So it's going to be way too early to tell if something's coming for Palm Beach County before we get something out there. So I'm sorry I can't be a little more exact in that, but it's just pretty much impossible to do that at this stage of the game. But again, a lot of drier air out there. The environment does unfortunately get a little better. All that stuff. So great question, Kimberly. She's asking about the invests. It starts at 90 and then goes to 99 and then recirculates. I don't know why they started it at 90, but the L is the Atlantic tag, I guess, because the Atlantic part. So yeah, that would be the reason. So you'll see 90 through 99, then it'll circle back to 90 through 99, then keep on that never ending that round robin, if you will, or that loop. Alrighty, guys, I have to get ready to go. Latest model data coming in. I'm going to show that at 10 o'clock. We're going to talk all about this invest that we are going to beat like a dead horse. Holy cow, it's out there for a long time. A lot of time to watch it. Don't be afraid. Don't panic. There's no need to do that. We're watching it, of course, but computer forecasts are going to be all over the place. We're going to talk much more about that at 10. And of course, we're going to be right back here in the Digital Weather Center. If you liked what you saw, if you enjoyed this, if you enjoyed being a part of the conversation, please consider subscribing and join us every Monday through Friday at 9:30. Um, it is a little too early to tell when that happens. The Caribbean, though, I'm watching closely first in the next week. It does look like we're going to have some issues in the Northeast Caribbean with this. The strength is still yet to be determined. Alrighty, guys, I am over my time. I have to go get ready for the 10 o'clock. I will see you in a couple of minutes. Thanks for being awesome. Thanks for making this show awesome. I love being here with you guys and just shooting the breeze about the weather. I appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow night, 9:30.